Now, we have 12-year-old girls being gang raped, being given contraceptives by the police.
The criminality is going up, the level of violence is going up, terrorism's going up. We're made to feel like foreigners in our own country. We can't speak up.
And I would say very respectfully to the Prime Minister, it's not about you, it is about the victims.
What's happened to these young girls? It's not just angered me, but it has upset me. And I think it's upset the whole nation.
We know that people were scared to tell the truth because they thought they would be called racist.
So, and when you try and talk up about it, you're not even allowed to have a conversation. Yeah, well, but their labels are far right, their labels are racist, their labels of Islamophobe, gone. Doesn't matter. No one cares now.
And when politicians, and I mean politicians, who sat in government for many years, are casual about honesty, decency, truth, and the rule of law, calling for inquiries because they want to jump on a bandwagon of the far right.
Right now, the reason why the mood's changed, women are scared, parents are scared, they're looking at their country, we don't recognise it anymore.
But then I think given a significant portion of Nigel Farage's Reform Party are Tommy Robbins supporters, it is they puts them in a very difficult position because, you know, they want to support reform, they believe in the policies and they want to see change, but then equally when you're dismissing such a significant voice like that, they feel like you're dismissing all of the issues that Tommy Robinson publicly speaks about.
Another fight is brewing in the United Kingdom, fueled by the controversial 18-month imprisonment of Tommy Robinson and freedom of speech warrior, Elon Musk's vocal support alongside the long-suppressed scandal of the Pakistani grooming rape gangs. This has plunged the nation into what feels like a major crisis. Tommy Robinson, known for his role as an independent journalist and activist, found himself behind bars once again, this time for releasing a documentary titled Silenced, which has garnered over 150 million views on X, exposing what he calls the two-tier policing and justice system.
The documentary you're about to watch is the most important documentary I've ever made. This story is far bigger than Tommy Robinson. This is about the weaponisation and the politicisation of these buildings. Court buildings across the West, the Royal Courts of Justice, ironically named. These buildings have been weaponised and used against members of the public to destroy them if they speak out.
Now, having already served 2 months in solitary confinement, a practice many argue is psychological torture, Musk has spotlighted his case through dozens of posts online on his X platform to his hundreds of millions of followers. Robinson has been one of the loudest voices against the rape gangs, predominantly identified as Pakistani Muslims, shedding light on what he and others see as a failure in addressing mass migration and the rise of radical Islam in the West. During his tenure from 2008 to 2013, as the head of the Crown Prosecution Service, Keir Starmer, now Prime Minister of the UK, oversaw a period where numerous young girls were victims of these crimes, some as young as 11 years old, with many of the rapist perpetrators evading justice.
All the available evidence, including the new material, has now been carefully considered by the CPS.
The scandal has since erupted online discourse, and Robinson's prosecution for merely discussing it has become a focal point of contention for many internationally. Nigel Farage, leading the charge for the UK Reform Political Party, is pushing for an independent investigation into the scandal, while simultaneously distancing himself from Robinson.
He's very supportive of me. He's very supportive of the party. He sees Robinson as one of these people that fought against the grooming gangs. But of course the truth is Tommy Robinson's in prison, not for that.
He campaigns on grooming gangs and many other things. And fine, if he wants to be a campaigner, that's great. But I'm a political leader, and I don't think somebody with a long list of criminal convictions is the kind of person I want to be associated with.
This stance has drawn criticism, especially because many within Reform UK are vocal supporters of Robinson's. One such supporter is our next guest, Anna McGovern, who has recently joined the party as a young member. Let's dive into this discussion with her.
I have joined the Reform Party, so I'm officially part of Reform. Hello everyone, I'm Anna McGovern. I'm a broadcast journalist and award-winning campaigner. I was previously a member of the UK's Conservative Party, but I've now recently moved to the Reform Party.
I want to hear from you from the recent scandal of the Muslim grooming gang and the silence of the politicians and everybody almost.
People are scared to talk about it because especially even talking about the ethnicity, they're scared of being called racist. So, if they're talking about in regards to like the Muslim rape gangs, that would be a racist thing to say. And I think that's why for many people, they've been possibly too scared to talk about it.
I know it's probably an unpopular view, but I completely agree that it is in some areas largely rape is committed by Muslims because I grew up in Bradford, all right, and in that kind of environment it is mainly Asian men, not because it's something about their culture but because they're not getting caught. Like I've had friends who've been raped and the police have told them that because it's an Asian man that's done it, probably not going to catch them. But it happens all the time.
What has Asian to do with not catching them?
I don't know. Because they're not engaging. The police are too scared of being called racist to do anything.
I think as well it's very important to talk about the victims here because I think ultimately the most important thing is that we're bringing justice to victims. We're bringing getting their voices heard as well. And I think the government has a lot of questions to answer in regards to these rape gangs, and an inquiry needs to be had immediately, especially now all of this new information has come to light. I think they need to have a national inquiry and investigate this further, and the public needs answers.
The ayes to the right were 111, the noes to the left 364. So the noes have it, the noes have it. Unlock.
I don't think they will, because I personally think they'll probably not. It's probably not going to be good what comes out, and I don't think I think as well it was so. I believe what was said as well during that live stream when he first addressed it, that anyone who was talking about this was far right. That how insulting is that? Talking about something as horrendous, as dangerous as these rape gangs, and you're called far right just for publicly speaking up about it. I just think is horrendous.
Calling for inquiries because they want to jump on a bandwagon of the far right, then that affects politics.
It's absolute disaster from the Labour Party how they've responded to it. But even as well, after Elon Musk got involved, he was massively critical of Keir Starmer, and I personally think that is fantastic that Elon Musk got involved because it is bringing these really important issues to light, getting justice for victims, which is essentially important, especially since the Labour government, they failed doing that. And I think as well with Keir Starmer, like the Labour Party, I'm not sure if you saw on social media that viral TikTok that they put out where they had AI generated animals saying, oh, this is what the Labour Party is going to deliver. But then the music in the background was very inappropriate and about sexual activities with young girls and using drugs, which was posted not around the time that all of this was coming out, all the criticisms of the Labour Party. I don't know who is managing their comms team, but they definitely need to be fired. But I think the whole thing is incredibly out of touch. I personally think they are losing their way. Many of the people that voted for Labour are now massively regretting their decision. And I personally think it's time for change, that we need a new government who actually knows what they're doing and to build back the trust of the British people again. What I think the biggest thing that's going on in the UK right now is the way that Elon Musk is now getting very actively involved in UK politics. And the fact that he has actually criticised Keir Starmer publicly is very unprecedented. And I think that's also meant, people from all over the world just now seeing that, maybe people who are not necessarily engaged in UK politics, all of a sudden they're seeing Elon Musk, a very big influence over the world, publicly criticising Keir Starmer, publicly criticising the Labour Party. I think that is of huge significance in the UK. And I think that'll have, a huge role as well in the way that we go right now. Numerous news outlets are reporting about this at the moment, and it's having a significant play in how the public is now seeing the Labour Party as well, seeing especially someone like Elon Musk has gotten involved. So I think, to be fair, that is probably one of the biggest things that we're seeing in the UK right now. It's massive.
There's 28 men on starting trial for raping young kids. Your community are doing it. You scum. Look at you. Look at you. Come out and pass some kids around, would you? We've got you.
One of the main figures that spoke about the Muslim grooming gang for years now, who has been prosecuted for that, is Tommy Robinson. But you joined the UK Reform Party, but the leader, Nigel Farage, seems to distance himself and the party from Tommy Robinson, and also he makes some false allegation in national TV.
Robinson's talked about this, but he has a criminal record, a list as long as your arm. Violence against women. I could go on, Nick.
It's a bit of a different lie to making the ultimate accusation that I am violent against women. What's worse that he could have said? It's outrageous, Nigel. This is a lie. You know it's a lie. This isn't the first time. And you don't have to support me. I don't know why you keep sitting on TV and saying Tommy Robinson's not allowed to join Reform. I've not asked to join Reform. I've never have.
Yes, so Nigel Farage went on LBC and said that Tommy Robinson had committed violence against women, which for a start is completely false. His ex-wife even made a statement saying that that is completely false as well. And what the irony of that as well is that one of Nigel Farage's MPs has been convicted of exactly the same thing. He is an MP of Reform, and then Nigel Farage is going on LBC saying, oh, we don't want to be associated with Tommy Robinson. He's committed violence against women, which is completely an unfounded allegation. I personally think the reason why Nigel Farage is distancing himself from Tommy Robinson is because of the optics of what that could look like. But then, having been a journalist at all three of Tommy Robinson's rallies, I've spoken to many of the people there who have, attended in support of Tommy Robinson and his team, a large number of whom are Reform members, are Reform voters, and I think personally, when Nigel Farage is coming out making these statements, they feel like their concerns not being listened to or heard. Nobody has been saying Tommy Robinson should be an MP or even a member of Reform. But I think the fact that Nigel Farage is disregarding him or rejecting him entirely means that a significant number of his voter base feel rejected as well, because they really resonate with the issues that Tommy has the bravery to publicly speak about. I think one of the main big things that is a huge problem is that you've got a lot of these outlets that report about the rallies. And I remember one article from the Evening Standard that said Tommy Robinson leads far-right football hooligan match. And having been a reporter there, the people that are going to these marches, they're not football hooligans. They are families. They are young, older people who are genuinely concerned about the way this country is going. And I've actually spoken to a lot of the people in the audience who are also Reform members. And I've asked them, why are you a member of Reform when, especially since, if you're a supporter of Tommy Robinson, Reform don't publicly want to associate with Tommy Robinson. And I think for many of the Reform voters that I spoke to, they'd said to me quietly, well, yes, I am a Reform voter because we feel like Reform is the only answer. There's not really another political party out there that can go up against Labour and actually turn this country around. But there is a lot of discontentment there that because Reform seem to be caving more towards the establishment and being concerned too much with optics about how they look like, which I do appreciate is important when considering the voting and trying to get, obviously trying to win an election. But then I think given a significant portion of Nigel Farage's Reform Party are Tommy Robbins supporters, it is they puts them in a very difficult position because, you know, they want to support reform, they believe in the policies and they want to see change, but then equally when you're dismissing such a significant voice like that, they feel like you're dismissing all of the issues that Tommy Robinson publicly speaks about. So I think it's very difficult for them, but I think if they continue in that direction, they might start to lose some of that support. So I think Reform really do need to consider the direction that they're going in that regard.
It's still the time Tommy Robinson is behind bars, but he has been deplatformed and debanked. So it's why at Ribbon News, we decided to carry on the legal battle for Tommy. If you want to contribute, you can do so at safetommy.com. You can chip in what you can, and thank you in advance because this will be a long and difficult legal battle.